Thanks so much for tuning in to the Sustainable Brown Girl YouTube channel. This show exists to provide representation for women of color within the environmental space, to share their stories, and to inspire all to be more eco-friendly every day. I'm your host, Ariel Green. This is where you can see all of the full video podcast episodes. So be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Also, go follow us on Instagram at Sustainable Brown Girl. Enjoy! Today's featured Sustainable Brown Girl is May Al-Karooni, founder of Globechain, the biggest ESG reuse marketplace worldwide. On a mission to divert 100 million tons of waste from landfill by 2025, Globechain is helping businesses become leaders in circular economy through reuse. Thank you so much for joining us today, May.
Thank you.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell us how your sustainable journey began.
Gosh, yeah. Well, I didn't kind of like wake up and think I want to work in waste, that's for sure. But it started off actually, I used to work for an investment bank and we moved offices across the road. So we kept the buildings, but just we were expanding. And all the facilities guys were coming and saying, pick your own table, chair, carpet tile, blue or blue. And I just thought, this is crazy. Like all the furniture was in perfectly good condition. And I just thought, why aren't you giving it away to nonprofits or businesses or people that needed it? And, at the time, kind of sustainability wasn't really a word. Reuse for sure wasn't there. And, circular economy as we know it wasn't there as well. So I just thought, why has no one digitalized waste and connected enterprises to nonprofits and small businesses and people to reuse and redistribute unneeded items and generate impact through giving? And that's really how it started. And very naively, I thought, let me do a side hustle, and paid for a web agency to build my first marketplace site and what I thought would it look like. And I just sent a couple of emails, and we had at the time it was the largest retailer in the UK test with us, and got a meeting. And I said, look, have you got a problem with fixtures? Do you know what do you do with them? And what people don't know is people dispose of and incinerate a lot of products because distribution, time, warehousing, logistics, it's all expensive. So I just thought that was kind of commercial madness and set it up in that way. And kind of the rest is history. They basically said, well, we don't have an issue with furniture, but we have an issue with fixtures and fittings. And I was like, what? And I thought, who wants fixtures and fittings and mannequins? And I thought, well, like thrift stores, boutique shops. And I started building up a network of those types of members, if you like. And anyway, we started redistributing 100% through reuse. And I started calculating something called ESG data on the impact. It's environment, social governance data, which some of your listeners may know is quite big now on ESG, because ESG is used for credit financing, IPO, bond risk, as well as kind of sustainability reporting and tax offsetting. So it's become super important to have good ESG ratings.
Wow. Wow. I love that you kind of took this kind of annoying thing that happened with your business, with your job, and turned it into something that can really help people. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
how has it been, like growing Globechain, and how do you tell people, get more people on board with it?
Yeah, super challenging. So don't think kind of
Mhm.
marketplaces are like overnight successes. This is like
Yeah.
6.5, 7 years in the making from kind of idea stage. And when I say naively decided to do something, it was very much that. I decided to do a marketplace, which is one of the most difficult things to kick off. I decided to do a new economy that didn't exist yet. And as you're aware, brown girls, ethnic minority, I'm a sole female founder. All those were like challenges upon challenges. So
Yeah.
I was pretty stupid to do it, really. But
Aw.
just stubborn at the same time. And I had a gut feeling, that this was going to work. And I was listening to the enterprises and the corporates, and something was bubbling. So when I first started, it was very manual, building up like demand and supply, physically, like picking up the phone, meeting all the NGOs and nonprofits, understanding kind of what items they were looking for, then going out and speaking to clients and seeing if the items would match. And the system was very manual at the beginning. I'd watch every transaction to see if it worked. And for 4 years, I actually bootstrapped it because another naivety, I thought, oh, I can get some venture capital funding and go to investors for this. And this was the time when angel investors didn't really exist or as accessible as they are now. Now you can go on Twitter and follow and message them. There kind of wasn't that around when I was around. You had to kind of know these kind of like privileged individuals. So basically, I went to a VC and they said, what's your market cap? And I kind of like was quiet because there wasn't one. It didn't exist. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where the ESG kind of played in, because I'm like, I'm going to show you there's a market cap, and they said, come back when you've got 2 paying clients. And I thought, I'm not going to come back for 150,000, when I've got 2 paying clients. I'm gonna do it. So 4 years of literally trial and error, modeling the business model, modeling the pricing, working out how much people would pay for a service like this. We went through a number of iterations, a number of different versions of the website upgrades, and then year 4. Lo and behold, a lot of management consultants put out studies on something called the circular economy, and it just happened to be a $4.3 trillion industry at the time. So I
Wow.
basically just cut that out of the report, stuck it in my pitch deck, and then went for VC funding. But by then we were generating revenue. So a very kind of like different scenario of like really hard work with no money and doing things for free for quite a few years. And then year 3, year 4, we started generating a little bit of revenue. So at that point, I'm really lucky to get investors that kind of like really believed in the vision and kind of understood where I was coming from with the business model. So year 4, I raised, at that time, that was a seed round, but now it's like pre-seed money in UK terms, but it was just under $1 million.
Nice.
And I was one of the only female founders, never mind ethnic minority, to raise over
Right.
$500,000 in the UK.
Wow.
At the time, yeah, I don't think it's got that much better. It's like 1.7% now from COVID,
Wow.
but it was quite an achievement. And then from there, obviously built a team. We're in the UK, Spain, New York, and Texas. And then actually we created an internal version of the system because a lot of companies wanted it globally. So we have what's almost like an asset inventory system. So it's a reuse marketplace privately for companies within their supply chain to reuse and loan assets and products. And then you can press a button. And if we have an external network, you can give it to the nonprofits and the businesses that way.
Wow, that's really interesting. So are you mainly doing like business to business transactions or is it like business to consumer?
It's both. So we started
Okay.
off business to business or business to nonprofit, business to charity in that sense. And then, we got more individuals on board, and the individuals can take the stuff from the businesses if they allow it as well. So we've got kind of two, B2B and B2C, but I'd say definitely we're B2B predominantly at the moment. We've got ideas on how to engage kind of consumers later down the line, with retailers and things like that. So that's going to be quite exciting to do. But we're seeing quite a big growth on the individual side because, circular economy, sustainability has become super mainstream now. So people understand it and the behavior change is not as difficult as I'd say it was
Hmm.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, exactly. When I was looking at your website and kind of, going through your Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, this reminds me, it's like a larger version of a buy nothing group on Facebook.
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I always describe it as like a free eBay for business. So we don't sell
Hmm.
products, we give them away for free and generate social impact on where the items go. So, but we're talking like 20,000 carpet tiles from a construction project
Wow.
might go to rebuild a school or an orphanage or help refugees in refugee camp. Office furniture might go and help a youth centre. In Texas, we did a lot after the hurricane a couple of years ago. So a lot of small businesses and individual required just very basic furniture. So we do everything from mannequins, fixtures, obsolete products from e-commerce, all the way through to really big volumes of like bricks, construction material. And then we've got like hotel products, which are really cool as well.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. So, do these companies like they come and list on your website, and then how do people who need these items find it? Like, for
Yeah.
example, with the people who needed things from the hurricane, I'm sure
Yeah.
they weren't already on Globechain. So, how do you connect them?
Yeah, so we do a lot of marketing, digital marketing, and work with a lot of partnership networks. And we do sourcing as well. So we look at like some of the products when we start in a new region, and we go, okay, around like hyperlocal area, who is there that would be interested in those items? And we've got the benefit of having a very strong network in the UK of 10,000 members, and we have charities in Africa that redistribute from the UK there. So some of these non-profits are global, so we get to understand the behaviors and what they want. So we find them, we engage in them, we tell them it is free and there's no catch. Like we did
Mhm.
some products from a luxury retailer that I can't name in New York. There was over 1,000 products, and oh my god, they were amazing
Wow.
sofas, glass chess sets, like American diner set. And the members couldn't believe it when we reached out. We were like, they're for free. We can't tell you
Wow.
who they're from, but they're for free. Like, go to this warehouse and pick them up. And then when they realized who they were like, oh my god, on that side. So and that's really satisfying, right? So once that
Mhm.
happens, people talk to other people in the community, or if they see something on the site and they go, do you know what, that school that my kid goes studies in, they could really do with those laptops or their computers. And then it just builds up like that, word of mouth. Companies, we tend to kind of go and sell to them, but for sure what we've noticed recently is people hear about us through kind of LinkedIn, and I guess like how we do lead generation. And
Mhm.
and then companies will talk to companies because people are looking for solutions around reuse and ways to redistribute perfectly good materials and assets, really.
Yes, yes. So when these companies sign up, are they looking, I guess they feel like, they have great products like that. The company that you were just saying about
Yeah.
had the really amazing products, and they're like, well, they don't want them to go to waste, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, so then they look for your business, Globe Chain, to kind of find a way to distribute it without just sending it to landfill or incinerating it. Have you noticed that businesses are becoming more conscious about their waste?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, this luxury retailer might not have never given away their free stuff, right? Especially if it's branded. Like we have a lot of beauty brands that for sure would not have given you the stuff with their branded brands on it. But I think things have changed. And with social, I think generation Z, millenniums, these are kind of the new power players, if you like. They've got
Mhm.
money to spend, but they actually care, that they've got they've got values, integrity, they've got ethics, and ultimately, they are the ones that have been pushing these businesses. Don't wear fur, don't do this, is it vegan, how have you sourced your chocolate cocoa beans, and I think definitely it's putting those brands under pressure, because you're not going to buy from them if it doesn't align with what you consider as your value. That brand's reputation, ultimately their profit will go down. So they've had to pay attention to things over the years. And I would say if we'd approached those kind of companies before, first of all, they wouldn't really have understood our business model. There would have been a lot of
Mhm.
fear around their brand, and a journalist finding it dumped in a dumpster and, things like that. But that's happening anyway. It's a bit like the white elephant. It was like, online e-commerce returns before COVID were 60%. So 60% of what you return thinking it's going to be resold gets burnt because they don't have warehouse space. Logistics is a nightmare, and if you're the biggest e-commerce companies in the world, who are you going to sell to when everyone comes to you anyway? So,
Right.
so there's a mind shift there, and obviously pressure from analysts, banking, government legislation, the UN. So all those kind of drivers play into kind of like the movement, right? It's like a subtle kind of like wave, if you like, that's growing. But I think definitely like now it's not an issue of like what if. It's like if you don't do it, you could go bankrupt. So I don't think those questions don't come up as much as a major concern anymore.
Right, right. So, aside from donating, leftover product and whatnot, how can businesses be more conscious about their waste?
Yeah, I think and it's waste is actually quite complex because you've got different
Mm.
types, right? So like your
Right.
hazardous, your electronic waste has to be, disposed of in a particular way. But, I think companies that are producing products can redesign things better, can source better materials, sustainable materials, modular materials. So, if you're building a new block of apartments, can you make it like a jigsaw where certain,
Yeah.
after 10 years of the life cycle of a building, rather than demolishing it because it's cheaper, right, to demolish buildings than kind of refurb them, can you dismantle them and still have them in good quality for somebody else to use it? Maybe not in the same high-rise apartments, but maybe for a school or like an allotment or a small garage or something like that. So that's where it's going, and I think it needs a team of people to collaborate. It's quite complex. So you need designers, architects, product designers. The amount of kind of like these food delivery services at 15 minutes. Let them think about like the emissions on their bikes, right? Like some of them are on bicycles, which is great. Some of them are on bikes. Uber, I remember, started off, on electric vehicles, but now anyone's can use any vehicle in it. So I think there needs to be those questions at the beginning when you're building a business. The foundations should be sustainable as much as you can within your kind of budget, and you should have a plan to move it forwards. The businesses that already exist, it's more complicated, but they do have
Mhm.
resources, and they have to take a risk at some point and try and work a different business model.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree that when you're starting your business, that's the best time to think
Yeah,
about how you're going to be sustainable. But it's not impossible to, shift your focus when you're already established.
yeah.
Um, and we probably should have talked about this at the beginning, but how would you define what a circular economy is?
Yeah, that's true. So this is like
Mhm.
how long's a piece of string? But the
Right.
way I say it is businesses at the moment, when you look at any type of sector, manufacturing, production, they start off with, say, mining the materials. The materials then become something in a factory. Then it gets packaged up. Then it gets transported somewhere. And then it gets sold. And then when you're finished with it, you dump it, right? So that's linear. It's
Mhm.
a straight line. It's like stage one, stage two, stage three, stage four. In between all those stages, there are materials and aspects of that process that is waste, right? So when you're cutting some wood to make a table, you've got the excess wood of that. And normally what they do is they shred it, they might burn it or whatever. Circular is imagining a circle, a loop system, where everything that you potentially would have disposed of or is not that sustainable would come into your model, into the system. And there's multiple different ways. And the best diagram is from a think tank called Ellen MacArthur Foundation.
Yes.
They are in the States. They're the ones that really coined the term after seeing all the plastic in the sea. And that's probably the easiest way I can say to you. It's like at every stage, how can you make that a better, more sustainable product? Whether that's you mining the resource differently, or can you urban mine it, because we might have it already in the ether. Can it be recycled? And then all the waste from the bits that you're not using, can you bring that in to maybe use as energy to power the plant, and use solar panels? And so it's really complicated. And I'd say, we're a good probably 10 years off from truly, circular business models, but we've got to start somewhere. And each sector will be very different with how they approach that.
Yes, circular economy has really become we hear it a little bit more often, but sometimes I feel like I'm in a sustainability bubble.
Yeah, it's
But
sustainability, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
but
get a
but
shock
still,
when somebody goes, "Oh, it's circular economy business." I'm like, "What? How do you know that?"
right, right. Yeah, it's definitely gaining popularity,
Yeah,
and like you were saying earlier with people kind of pressing companies to be more conscious about
yeah.
the impact that they're having. I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that is in essence pushing the circular economy agenda. You might not
Mhm.
know it, but everyone's got to start somewhere with it. So we'll get there. But there are people that are specialists and they're looking at it in great detail. But it's highly complex. But it does need people. Businesses need to. They do need to do it.
Yes, absolutely. So, what's next for Globechain? What are your plans with growing it and getting the word out?
Yeah, well, we decided a couple of years ago, our team, it's like go big or go home.
Yeah.
There's no point, with all the challenges, we just thought, we've got to just go for it. So really now we're focused on the States. So obviously I've not been able to travel over up to Christmas, but I'm
Hmm.
actually, I'll be heavily traveling and probably living more in New York to build the East and West Coast. So we want to really achieve it in the next 3 years, a truly global globe chain, right? So
Yes.
localized supply chain and global supply chain. So ultimately, you can connect your transport, freight, cargo, and optimize everything. And also, world with no waste. Like if we can help enable companies and nonprofits and people gain value. That's what we'd really love to do. We've got a strapline of like commercial with a conscience. So we believe every business is going to operate like for profit, but it's no longer just, oh, we have this charitable philanthropic arm at the side that we pump money in. It's going to have to be embedded in your modeling. And also like a new life from wanted stuff, right? There's a play on words there. It's
Hmm.
not just about, that table or that bench that you gave away. It's not just a table. For somebody, that could be a new life for them in the sense of they might be able to, like a single parent, feeds the family around it, and it's saved, a couple of £1,000 on furniture for their home that they couldn't afford, or blankets, for refugees, or something like that. So it could, what you think is just like a first world problem, you've got a table that you don't want, or a chair or a piece of clothing, to somebody else that could be, or without being dramatic, like life and death for them.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah. And the
absolutely.
byproduct is helping the environment, obviously. So you're doing it almost like effortlessly, right?
Right. Yeah, that it seems like it makes it, so much easier to connect people to things that they need. So when someone get something from Globechain, is it just like local, or can you get something and like ship it to, across the country or
Yeah,
across
you
the
can if
world?
you want to. A lot of people don't, just
Yeah,
being from the carbon side and the mission side. And also,
right.
we haven't gone the whole of like US yet, but probably when your whole of US is on board, you could probably use like couriers that are going empty from state to state that pick up things for you. So that would make sense because you're utilizing empty cargo and haulage. And things like that. So that's the ultimate goal for us. But the place where we have charities in Western Africa, Poland, Libya, Ukraine, and Lebanon. And usually, like disaster recovery, they usually go to healthcare, medical hospitals, because we do medical equipment as well. But those people have representatives in, say, the UK, and they will pick it up and they will put it into a big container. And then when that container's full, they'll ship it over. And when we've asked them why they take certain things, obviously the medical equipment is very different. So medical equipment from the US might go to like Latin America, or somewhere like that.
Hmm.
But the reason is because usually the distribution is not there, or it's super, super expensive and they can't get it. So there are reasons why there's a shipping. A lot of people are quite critical of that kind of overseas shipping. But my
Right.
argument is, look, medical equipment here in the NHS costs them millions to incinerate. It's like perfectly good X-ray
Wow.
machines, solutions, patient beds. These are like $10,000 a piece, and they bin them after, because it's to do with audits, compliance, policy. They have to remove it so they don't get contaminated. They're not contaminated, but someone's done a study and they say 6 months is the longest you can hold this equipment before it kind of deteriorates. But that's a legislation and policy thing where it's perfectly good for somebody else, somewhere else. And I remember we used to get videos of when it was Ebola crisis in Western Africa. They used to send the machinery and furniture to really rural areas and hospitals, and you just saw the videos of the nurses and doctors crying, and that kind of touches you because you
Yeah.
don't see it. We're working as a business, but humans at the end of the day, there's empathy, and when you realize how grateful people are, and what was it to you? You were about to put that in the dumpster or put it into an incineration, pay somebody to just take it away and break it up. I mean, it's almost
Mm,
criminal in that sense.
definitely. So have you noticed a trend within Globechain for things that you see a lot of, or is
Yeah.
there a trend with maybe things that people may need?
Yeah, so strangely, wooden chairs, tables are very much top of the list with lockers
Mm,
and kind of cabinets and things like that for the home. And then we've got some really strange items like windows, actual physical windows are very popular. People take, we had 135 windows the other day and someone took them.
wow.
Fire doors, very expensive. So people, them, and a lot of construction material, timber, marble. People absolutely go mad for kitchens. So we give away a lot of kitchens and units, and
Hmm.
obviously laptops, mobile phones that get given away. People go crazy. That's
Yeah, I bet.
requested in 5 minutes. An alert goes out in 5 minutes. Normally things take 20 minutes after alert, but we say give it 24 hours. And people have requested bulk. And carpet tiles, as I mentioned, you wouldn't believe how many people, the square carpets you see in the commercial properties, people grab them
Yeah.
because they're very sturdy, and they're quite expensive, and they don't wear out too quickly, so very useful for people to lay themselves if they've run out of money and things like that. So I'd say
Mm,
they're the most kind of sought after, and when people go crazy on the site for them. And then we've had really unusual things like a gazebo. Some
mm,
school took it for the garden. We've had an air bridge. So, when you go to the airport and you walk on those bridges to get on the plane. So
yeah.
we've had an airport give away one of those. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I was I had to Google. I'm like, what's an air bridge? It's the tunnel, the metal tunnel that looks like an
Yeah.
accordion. And
Wow.
that went to a guy who buys plane parts and converts them into hotel rooms. So yeah, I
What?
know. It just shows you how innovative people have some great ideas. And then we do
Yeah.
retail fixtures, right? Like mannequins, they go to fashion students,
Hmm.
architects, that kind of thing. So really, really diverse. And we did a fuel cell once. So this is a big energy machine, and a university took it. Yeah, it's like a £2 million piece of kit, basically.
Whoa.
Yeah, for free.
That's
We've had a
incredible.
car on there, a vintage Nissan Figaro. Yeah, a young lady put it on because her MOT, her servicing had run out, and her parents had bought her a new car. So she just put it
Mm.
on. Someone took it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is so crazy. There's such a wide variety of things that you wouldn't even picture
yeah.
that someone would be trying to give away.
I know, right? Sometimes I look at things and what is that? But someone somewhere knows
Yeah.
what it is, and there's a
Yeah.
use for them. We had water valves from railway tracks, really big, kind of heavy pieces of metal that looked like kind of big screws, giant screws, and an apprenticeship organization took it and made coffee tables out of them. So they put glass on
Wow.
them and really cool kind of retro stuff. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm just like flabbergasted. I had no idea that, yeah, Globe Chain sounds like such an amazing service. So, how can people, like, can just anybody go and sign up for it?
yeah, definitely. Just go on the website, globechain.com, and just sign up. Sign-ups for free, takings for free. You just have to organize your transport. We do offer couriers as
Mhm.
well in different areas. And just really talk about it, especially kind of in the US, because US is a big place, so you need a lot of people talking about it to get it moving on that side. But yeah, looking forward to like doing a lot more there and globally as well.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, I am definitely going to start telling people about Globechain because yeah, it's a great way to get rid of things and, pass on things that you just were going to throw away or
Yeah.
burn
And speak to the companies you work for, right? Like a lot of everyone's working
Yeah,
from home, so company offices might be downsizing. Speak to the
right.
companies and tell the companies to get on Globechain because they're the ones that have got the stuff that is really good condition, probably that they're thinking, right, I'm going to spend a couple of $1 million on just waste disposal because they don't have
Yes.
distribution.
Yes, exactly. Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, May. And let us know again where we can find you, how we can support you, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So you can find us on globechain.com, or I'm on LinkedIn, and our Twitter's at Globechain or at We Are Globechain, and we're on Twitter as well under the same name. So reach out if you're a nonprofit or a business or even individual. Just go and register and keep shouting at us going open in our area, and we'll come soon.
Absolutely. I love it so much. And our last question is, what does being a sustainable brown girl mean to you?
Ooh. Well, we joke around. It's like I'm queen of waste. So I don't see myself. I just see myself as like, you know what, somebody in the movement of pushing what should be right in the market. And I think being the sustainable brown girl is going to be an advantage because I'm going to really shout about it and make you notice. So I'd say
Hmm.
that's what it is. Not going
Absolutely.
quietly.
Yes, yes, you definitely are not. I'm so excited for what you're doing with Globechain and how you are changing the world in so many ways and helping to reduce waste from businesses and helping people all over the world find things that they need for free.
Yep.
Thank you so much again for joining us, May.
Thank you.
Don't leave just yet. Click here to hear from another Sustainable Brown Girl, or click here to watch the full playlist from this season.